I'm so honored and feel blessed to be asked to speak on something that's so important, which is nonviolence, ahimsa. In Sanskrit, the term ahimsa. And what a beautiful Unitarian Universalist tradition of celebrating, honoring, marking this time, this season of nonviolence. And so, wow, how blessed are you that you get to come here every single week and be a part of such an amazing tradition and an amazing faith practice. And you know, in looking at the life of Gandhi and looking at this amazing theologian, activist, Martin Luther King, I was looking up some of the information, and one of the things that really struck me was something that King said: this courageous confrontation of evil by the power of love is what is needed. And Gandhi, of course, in his last dying words before he was killed, remembered the name of God. Ram, 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 is what he said right before he died. And you know, Mother Teresa, who also belongs in this category of nonviolent activists, peace activists, Mother Teresa said, I will never attend an anti-war rally, but if you have a peace rally, please invite me. And you know, I think that King was, when he was talking about what the Master Jesus had spoken of, this method of nonviolence being the most potent weapon in the struggle for freedom. And that nonviolence means that our lives are linked and that we do impact the lives of each person we encounter and that we're responsible for one another. And I love We Shall Overcome. I love that. Wasn't that beautiful, the way they did that? So beautiful. And to hear the culmination of it is, when you listen to our history, you think about our history and where we've been as a country and how this country was founded, which was on the backs of slaves and the stealing of land, the killing of the Native American, the indigenous people. We love our history and we're embarrassed sometimes, oftentimes, by our history. And hearing about President Obama and then turning on CNN today. I have a CNN app on my phone. It's just such a terrible thing to have. And we wonder about this country, and we wonder about justice, and we wonder about what's happening, and it's creating fear in us, isn't it? I know for me it is. It creates fear, it creates uncertainty, and this political turmoil. What's happening? Oppression, discrimination, our beautiful earth. Now more than ever, we're being called to what is known as mystical activism. Coming from a higher consciousness, a higher frequency, a frequency of love, stepping into this spiritual change and going into what we call higher kingdoms of consciousness. So it's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences at all. I believe in God-incidences. We're talking about this time of King, Martin Luther King, and I'd like to suggest that we look at a kingdom of higher consciousness. I owe a lot of this sermon and a lot of the message to a beautiful minister named Reverend Alice Reed. And some of us had attended that clergy conference in Baltimore where she actually gave this talk as part of her keynote. It's about kingdoms of consciousness. And you know, when I turn on CNN or MSNBC or look at my New York Times app and read all that's happening, I start to feel like I want to go to battle. I feel like we're in a time of battle. And I feel as though we've been called to, fight the fight, the good fight. And it reminds me of the Bhagavad Gita. It reminds me of a little talk that happened between Arjuna and Krishna. And you know, in the current day, we might think about this as an Uber driver and having a conversation with his passenger. Because really, the Bhagavad Gita, in this little beautiful story of the soul, the song of the soul, Krishna is a chariot driver, and Arjuna is his passenger. So current day, let's talk about Uber or Lyft. And so Arjuna sits in the back seat of the Uber car and says to Krishna, the driver, there's a battle. There's a battle. There's a battle going on between the Pandavas and the Kandavas. And what do I do? Do I fight? Because after all, are they not my relatives? And the Uber driver, Krishna, says, yes, you must fight. But there's 4 paths to this battle. 4 ways to be in what we call practical reality. And those are the yogas. The yoga of love, the yoga of service, the yoga of Raja Yoga, meditation, etc. And so then that made me think about also, when we talk about, wow, do we fight? Is it a battle? Or is it ahimsa, nonviolence? In fact, in your program, this beautiful piece here that you talk about in the very beginning, Padashodran, you know, we light the chalice, we think about this point to pass the test, to overcome the problem. We shall overcome, right? Overcome the problem. But the truth is that things don't really get solved. What? Fight the fight, but at the same time, don't fight. Ahimsa, nonviolence. It's a conundrum. I don't understand it. And then we're reminded in one of the Gospels, the canonical Gospels, where Jesus, in the Gospel of Matthew, says, do not suppose that I have come to bring peace on the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. What? Jesus? Prince of Peace? Is he not? What did he mean by that? I'm confused. And then if you look at the Gnostic Gospel of St. Thomas, Jesus says something else that's kind of confusing. He says, seek until you find, and when you find, you'll be disturbed. And then you'll be astonished. Jesus, what are you talking about? I believe that Jesus is talking about cutting the veil of ignorance, avidya in Sanskrit. The sword, I came to bring the sword, not peace, is no, we have to cut the veil of ignorance. And what is ignorance? Well, ignorance is certainly oppression. Ignorance is certainly thinking that we're better than someone else, or someone convinced us in some social construction that we're less than or better than. We have to cut the veil of that ignorance, but we have to go even beyond that. In Hinduism and Vedantic teachings, the teachings that I adhere to, we talk about something called Maya. Maya, illusion. This is an illusion. It's an illusion that we're separate. It's an illusion that there's duality. It's an illusion that there's me and you, us and them, black and white, good and evil. It's an illusion. We are all one source. We are not this body. We're not this mind. We're not this intellect. We're not this limited personality. You heard all of the titles that I have. What hogwash that is. It's hogwash. Because for truth be told, there's been many embodiments, millions of titles, millions of embodiments, millions of lifetimes, and guess what? It doesn't matter. It's only matter. Matter doesn't matter. All that matters is the light, the source. Duality is separateness. Even the Buddha talked about this. That life is suffering. Why? Why is life suffering? Padashodran reminds attached to a false belief that we are separate. You're attached to a false belief that this life, this embodiment is real. So back to Arjuna in the Uber, because the Uber ride is taking a really long time. It's through the Mahabharata, which is a very long epic in the Hindu poetry. And so, Arjuna's like, so then what's the point, Krishna? If this is Maya, and it isn't real, then why should we bother to fight? Why should we bother to go and protest? Why should we bother to sign up for ACLU's petitions? Why should we bother? Let's let it all just be. Let it all just be. Because it's not real anyway. And Krishna says, no, you must fight. So I don't get it. Ahimsa is nonviolence. So how do we fight? What is this fighting about? And here is where the kingdoms of consciousness come in. So there are 4 kingdoms of consciousness. The first one is to me consciousness. It's all happening to me. I'm a victim. Poor me, poor me, pour me another drink. It's all happening to me. We know many people, including ourselves, at any given day or hour of the day, where we are in that, we are stuck in that victim consciousness, where everything is happening to me, and in the law of attraction and science of mind principles, we know that the more of that we think, the more of that we attract. Enter Kingdom 2 consciousness. By me. It's up to me to fix this problem. By me consciousness. I will go and I will fight. I will go and I will protest. I will write every single petition and sign every petition. Not saying that's bad, but that's by me consciousness. I'm the one. Here I come to save the day. Do you remember Mighty Mouse? I grew up in that cartoon. I used to love it. Not surprising, because I am stuck often in by me consciousness. I am stuck often in that space, in that headset, where it's up to me to fix it. A little codependent too. Enter number 3, kingdom of consciousness. And this is when we step from duality to non-duality in the Vedantic teaching in Hinduism. That third consciousness is as me consciousness. As me. I'm an instrument in the hands of Krishna. Anytime you see Krishna, you see him playing a flute. That signifies we are an instrument in the hands of the divine. So King and Gandhi and Mother Teresa and the Dalai Lama and Pope Francis and Dorothy Day and all of these mystical activists were instruments in the hands of the divine. As me. Not me. As me. And then the 4th kingdom, where we all hope to be, strive to be, is me. Is me. I am that. I am that holy spark. Listen, this is very interfaith, and this is very interfaith, because this is not just Hindu. This is Course in Miracles, right? This is science of mind principles. This is the law of attraction. This is Kabbalah, the sparks of the divine. In Kabbalah, we learn that every particle in our physical universe, every structure, and every being is a shell that contains sparks of holiness. So our purpose is to release each spark from its shell and raise the holy spark. And the way that these are raised is through acts of loving kindness, being in harmony with the universe. Each moment of our existence, we have this potential to raise of the holy spark. But if we're spiritually asleep and we're in to me or by me consciousness, we're not able to accomplish much. So remaining in that state beautiful ritual. We pray and we ask for the divine consciousness to release our concerns. That's great. But there's more than that, right? There's a bigger charge here. What is Krishna charging us to do? Krishna, just like Muhammad, who talked about in the Quran, the jihad, right? The jihad, what is that? Is that a war against someone? It's the war in us. It's the war within our own minds. If your mind is anything like my mind, it's a terrible neighborhood sometimes. The jihad, the holy war, the battlefield that Krishna was talking about is within my own mind. It's within my own heart. It's an inside job. So I could look and I could pray for Trump, our current administration, and I could say, enemy, we have to fight. Or I could say, let's point back at me and let me think about my interfaith exploration. Where am I in discrimination? Where am I in oppressing others? Where am I in tweeting meanness through my own little tweet mouth? Do you ever like gossip about somebody? Killing someone's spirit? I mean, that's ahimsa, is nonviolence in all ways. Not just what others are doing all over the globe. What am I doing in my thought, in my word? So duality is me and you, us and them, good and evil, Democrats and Republicans, red states, blue states. Non-duality is the Asmi consciousness, is the real battle. The fight against avidya, ignorance, duality. To remember God as me. And it is in the remembering of our higher consciousness that we become mystical activists. In remembering the divine essence, the source of all that is, working as us, is us, then we can really put our money where our mouth is when we say shalom, when we say salam, when we say shanti, 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 and really echo Gandhi's consciousness, which is be the change I wish to see in the world.